The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." He replied, "Friend, who appointed me as your judge and arbitrator?" Then he said to the crowds, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions." Then he told them a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, "What shall I do? For I do not have space to store my harvest." And he said, "This is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. There I shall store all my grain and other goods, and I shall say to myself, 'Now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong?' Thus it be for all who store up treasure for themselves, but are not rich in what matters to God." The Gospel of the Lord. Two brothers argued over an inheritance, and Jesus responded with a parable. A rich man had a great harvest, but it was too big for him to store. So he decided he would tear down his barns and build bigger ones. He never even considered the possibility of sharing what he had. He never gave a thought to what God would have him do. He thought only of himself. The gifts we have are given to be shared. We like to think we earn everything we have, and since we've earned it, it's ours. But we depend on others, and we depend on the gifts of this world that we didn't create. All that is given to us is for the good of all. And as Jesus said, basically, you can't take it with you. This is a story from a book called Taking Flight by Father Anthony DeMello, a Jesuit priest. It's about two brothers and an inheritance. They chose a different path and had a different result. Two brothers inherited a farm from their father. One was a bachelor. The other was married with 5 children. Their farm produced an abundant harvest of grain each year, and they shared it evenly, and everything went well for the brothers. The brother who was married began waking up at night and thinking, "It's not fair. My brother isn't married. He's all alone, and he only receives half the produce of the farm. I have a wife and 5 children, so I have all the security I need for my old age. Who will care for my brother in his old age? He needs to save more for his future than he has been. His need is obviously greater than mine." So he would get up in the middle of the night, fill a large sack of grain from his supply, go over to his brother's house, and pour it into his brother's grain supply. The brother who was a bachelor also started waking up at night and thinking, "It isn't fair. My brother has a wife and 5 children, and he only receives half the produce of our farm. I have only myself to support. His need is obviously greater than mine." So he would get up in the night, fill a large sack with grain from his supply, take it over to his brother's house, and pour it into his brother's grain supply. Now the brothers couldn't figure out why their grain supplies never diminished even though they were taking out large sacks full almost every night. Until one night, they got up at the same time. And they ran into each other, each heading towards the other's house, carrying a large sack of grain. Years later, after the brothers died, this story was told. When the people of that town wanted to build a church, they decided to build it on the spot where the two brothers met, because they could think of no place holier than that one. St. Paul said to the Colossians, "We have been raised with Christ. We should seek what is above." We already share the new life of Christ, and we live it out through service to others. For when we serve others, we are doing as God would have us do. And that makes our whole world holy.